Media Melanie Talks TV. I'm Melanie, and today I'm back to talk about Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV+. We just got the season 1 finale, and episode 9 is called Everything Becomes Symbol and Irony. Was anybody else shocked that there was in fact no murder? Paul took his own life, Sam came back, shot him a couple of times, and Coop got his job offered back to him with a completely stellar offer, turned it down, and instead opted into the life of crime. I was pretty surprised, and I appreciated those twists. Overall, we definitely got kind of a bow ending here. Things were wrapped up nicely, we got closure, and enough to propel us into the second season, which Apple TV had already renewed before season 1 even aired. This show started off pretty slow, took a little bit to find its footing, figure out the show that it wanted to be, and it got better with every single episode leading up to this finale, which I think was definitely the best of the season. And while some things did seem maybe a little bit rushed or too convenient, I liked being surprised. So, did they land the plane? They did. Was there some turbulence along the way, and was it a little bit of a bumpy landing? It was. But I think if I'm assigning this one a letter grade for season 1, I'm going to go C+, maybe even a B-. If you had asked me this at the beginning of the season, I was thinking more in the D range, but it has elevated itself. It really won me back on the episode where the Coopers went on that trip to Princeton. I loved the Coop and Mel vibes of it all. And something I've been talking about all season as well is, will Coop and Mel end up reconciling? I think there's a strong possibility that that could come in season 2. Especially because they both kind of agreed they're going to stay solo for a while. Something I'm wondering about, though. When Coop and Mel broke into that church on their Princeton road trip, was that some light foreshadowing that there's potential Mel could join Coop on this life of crime that he has now officially chosen? We know she's capable of doing bad things, cheating on her husband with his best friend, for instance, taking that jam, keying somebody's car, physically attacking one of her friends in public and then basically getting canceled on TikTok for it. Going up to the women at the restaurant when she was dining with Barney and saying boo and just scaring them. She's completely unhinged, and I think it would be an interesting avenue to explore, having her and Coop work together, because Barney and Mel still don't know exactly what Coop is up to, and I wonder, is Coop going to come clean? He made this choice that now he's going to have to live with. There's no going back now. He blew off the job. They're going to have to go and try to win back the Swiss themselves, which seems like an impossible task. Something else that I appreciated, Liv helping Coop get back in the door. Even though he didn't end up taking the job, I like that she was not disgraced or ruined or slut-shamed or anything like that. For a while there, I thought Liv was going to be in the spotlight and people were going to be judging her for something that she really shouldn't have been judged for in the first place, and really Coop never should have been fired for in the first place. I will tell you though, if I had that offer on the table, I think it would be pretty hard to turn down for the uncertainty of being able to continue committing these crimes. I assume Coop and Elena won't be working together anymore, since Elena did take that money to pay off her brother's debt. And he's got the Wi-Fi scrambler, but will he be able to pull it off, or will he and Elena come back together in the second season? I suppose that's to be determined. But either way, cannot believe that instead of getting on that plane, Coop not only decided to go out and commit another robbery, he did so at his former boss's house. Might I add, when he was driving away and that frickin' trunk popped open again, I want to slap this man in the face and say, Coop, fix your damn trunk. Especially after somebody planted a gun in there and was trying to frame him for literal murder. Bro, get your trunk fixed, especially if you are committing crimes, because you just never know who's coming after you. We've already had Christian come after you, and fortunately, he ended up forgiving Coop, and now Coop can work with him again, because it does look like he's going to be going after paintings. Now that Coop has been faced with essentially losing everything and he got it all back, he's got this renewed sense of confidence and self-awareness. And I will tell you, I could have done without the dream sequence at the beginning of this episode, but one of the lines he said during that was, when facing life in prison, life hits differently. So I think this whole experience has given him new perspective and maybe making him think differently about things. And blackmail. Let's talk about the blackmail of it all. Not only did Coop blackmail his lawyer Kat into representing him this season, but we got a little hint that blackmail is probably going to become a pretty prominent focus in these crimes. Very apparent when he had the conversation about the stolen SAT answers. I love that he just gives no F's anymore. That golf club scene when he's like, hey, what bylaws exactly are you using to legally kick me out of here? And then takes the golf club, holds it up on the guy's chest. He's like, okay, yeah, buddy, I'm just gonna get back to finishing up my bucket now. And this was before he ended up getting off for murder because, of course, everybody at that point still thought he was guilty. But watching him walk around basically telling everybody to F you and just taking on his own agenda, love it. And very smart that he was able to enlist Elena to go over to Sam's house to figure out this whole situation in the first place, which revolves around the suicide note, the fact that Paul was not murdered, and the burner phone that ended up really putting the nail in the coffin for Sam. Before I get more into this review of the season 1 finale for your friends and neighbors, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. I just finished up covering The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. I am dropping weekly videos for Poker Face on Peacock that stars Natasha Lyonne. It's a really fun case of the week murder mystery. And then coming in June, we'll be covering The Buccaneers on Apple TV+. Potentially, We Were Liars on Amazon Prime. And then looking ahead to July, Dexter Resurrection and The Summer I Turned Pretty's final season. Also keeping on my radar, a show called The Institute, which is going to be coming to MGM Plus, and that is an adaptation of a Stephen King book. So going to keep my eyes out for that one as well. All right, let's get more into the nitty-gritty and talk about how we're feeling after episode 9. A line we heard in this episode: once you've seen the chaos behind the curtain, you'll never watch the show the same way again. And that is a testament to Coop's new mindset. He almost lost everything and he ended up getting it back. So now his perspective has shifted, and it's an analogy for his life. He's never going to participate in life the same again because of the experiences he went through, and now he has committed to a very different lifestyle than he had before. I also think that it's a meta nod to us as viewers. We will never watch this show the same way again because now we know they can deliver twists, they can give us turns, give us the unexpected, and it did end up finding its footing here in this first season, and I'm really excited to see what season 2 is going to hold. All season long, I've been wondering, are we going to see a courtroom situation? Is Coop going to go to jail? None of that happened. Sam didn't even go to jail, which I think is just absolutely ridiculous. Something that confused me, though, when Detective Lynn was initially at the murder scene, she did say that there was GSR on Paul's hands, okay, but she made it sound like the shooting was done by professionals, some sort of professional hit or assassin. The way that Sam shot that gun seemed pretty shaky, kind of unsure. How exactly does that look like a professional hit if it's somebody that probably has never shot a gun? And also shooting her soon-to-be ex-husband that she literally just watched self-delete over FaceTime? Rough times. She almost got away with it. If Coop hadn't sent Elena in there and they searched through the house, they wouldn't have been able to find the suicide note, which prompted Coop to confront Sam. I love that Sam pulled that gun on Coop and he's like, hey, you're forgetting something. You're not a killer either. And the callback to that first episode, we had Coop narrating over this montage of how he got where he was. Sam did the same exact thing, explaining her backstory, the fact that she was a waitress, she met Paul, he wooed her, got her the big house, they had kids together. And things kind of fell apart after that, but she got the lifestyle that she wanted. And I am kind of kicking myself for not figuring this out. And yes, I am glad that it was not somebody we haven't met. I think that would have been a definite miss. But the fact that it wasn't a murder at all, how did I not figure that out with the GSR? I guess we can forgive ourselves because they didn't let us know that 2 of those gunshots were post-mortem until this episode. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, we're in for a big twist here. And in fact, we got one. And okay, maybe it wasn't the most compelling twist of all time because I think a lot of us have been leaning into the fact that Sam looked like the guilty party this whole season. I thought Sam did it. I thought she planted that gun. And yes, she did plant the gun, which was pretty smart. And yes, she seems suspicious for a reason because she was. So they did a good job planting that seed and making us believe it was her. And yes, technically it was her, but also it kind of wasn't. So interesting approach. I'm glad they didn't go the presumed innocent way and have, like, spoiler alert, one of the kids end up having committed the crime. So this felt interesting because we went into this knowing it was kind of a dramedy, a crime drama. It was pretty funny overall. And yes, there was a crime that was committed, and we took this entire 9 episodes to try to figure it out. Pretty happy with where things landed. As I've also been saying, it is not the most entertaining show on TV. It's an easy watch. You don't necessarily have to pay attention the whole time. Yeah, you can probably be scrolling on your phone. It's not the worst show on TV right now either. So if you're asking yourself the question, was this worth my time and will I continue watching season 2? I'm definitely going to give season 2 a try because I think it's opened some doors to more interesting storylines and character journeys. And really, I enjoyed watching Coop do pretty much anything this season, from the clubbing to the golfing to the tennis. I can watch the man do anything. I really enjoyed watching Mel as well. Such an unhinged character. Hated her every single second, but Amanda Peet, 10 out of 10 for playing this character. I loved watching that Cooper family hug when Coop told Mel to get in there, and I think there is hope for them to reconcile in the future. More interested, though, now in them partnering up and potentially committing some crimes together, although they may want to think about getting remarried if they go that route because, as we know, spouses cannot testify against each other. Might be a smart move if that's the direction that they go. What I would like to talk about now, though, is Allie, my favorite character of this entire season, and 2 of these scenes in the finale were probably my favorite of the entire season as a whole. I liked that dark dinner table scene in Coop's house, the lighting, very ominous, the close-ups on Coop's face as Allie's like, oh, kind of a dark vibe over here, and then gets into the fact that she was having sex with her ex-fiance, talks about having to go off her meds, and Tori asking why in regards to the sex situation of it all. That dinner table conversation was TV gold. And to top it off, we get Allie playing doll parts on stage. And one of the best monologues of the entire season. Watching her emotional vulnerability up there and calling out and saying to Coop that, you've always been there for me, and I really hope that somebody can be there for you because you really need that right now. And then getting the entire crowd to start chanting, "Fuck Bruce." Fuck Bruce. I could scream that from the rooftops. At times, I did feel that storyline was a little bit extraneous, and Ellie felt maybe more disconnected from some of the other stuff, but I also think that that was intentional to add a little bit of extra oomph and show that Coop does have another caring side to him. He's definitely taken care of Allie, let her move in with him. She's obviously been going through it. That moment when she was on stage and talking to him out in the audience, and before it all started, he's like, oh no. I loved everything about that. I love how authentic Allie's character is in terms of owning her mental health and talking about them, because I think in society, it's not always comfortable or acceptable to talk about our struggles with mental health. And I think that's the thing I appreciated most about that character. Now, I had the opportunity to interview Lena Hall, who plays Allie. I'm going to play a little clip right here, but also don't miss the full interview on my channel. She is just fantastic. And there's also an EP out with the songs that she sang as Allie in this show. Make sure you download that. All right, here's a quick clip. You had mentioned you didn't get to meet a lot of people because you didn't have scenes with them. Sometimes I felt like some of Allie's storylines were maybe a little bit more disconnected than some of the other ones. But that said, by the end of the season, I could see exactly why you were there, to really add this kind of softer side to Coop. But as an actress, did you ever feel disconnected from some of the other plot points during filming or while you were watching it?
Yeah, but I think it's by design. And I think that the show overall is really so well written that Allie can't really be a part of the friends and neighbors because she doesn't subscribe to that life. It's not what she wants or aims to be or has any connection with. She doesn't want to be flashy. She doesn't want all she wants in her life is to survive day to day and not have another breakdown, so her world is far more simple than the world that he was subscribed to and living in. So because of that, I think Allie gives us such a good perspective from the other side of things, feeling like the outsider, looking in and watching like watching your brother go through chaos and being like, yo, what's up? Like, I know something's going on here. Like, y'all are weird over there in your rich world. Like, and again, Allie's purpose is to show that Coop is got a heart, you know, because I think that he would come off really kind of psychopathic or sociopathic if he didn't have this person was like always worried about, cared about so much, and loved so much. You know what I mean?
Isn't she great? And again, please be sure to go watch the entire interview. We chatted about the music, her experience on the show, working with Jon Hamm. I hope that you go and watch, please and thank you. But Allie going back and painting the fuck Bruce on the garage and then his wife finding out. Bruce is just detestable. And there's a lot of detestable characters on this show in general. Bruce is probably at the top of my list. The way he treated her, used her when it was convenient for him, took off when the cops showed up at Coop's house. This was a man who's known her since high school and engaged to her, and that's the way he's going to treat her, knowing that she's struggling with mental health. Seriously? Fuck Bruce. For a minute there, a couple episodes ago, I thought to myself, is it possible that Allie is going to end up killing Bruce in the finale? And that is the mystery that will propel us into season 2 to see how she ends up getting untangled and maybe how Coop could support her in that process. Obviously, that did not happen, but there's still some potential for Allie to do something like that. My point is that Bruce treated her like complete crap, and sometimes people get put over the edge for things like that. And yeah, I don't necessarily think it's in Allie's character DNA to do that. But you know what? Go watch the interview because we got into that a little bit as well. My other favorite character of the series, Barney. Choi Boy's back, baby. I think Barney played a really great sidekick to Coop. I wouldn't have minded even more of him. I got pretty bummed out when he got hit by that car. Again, that thud, that crash, that crack when he hit the pavement. I thought there was literally no way he was going to survive. I'm really glad he did. The scene where he almost burned down his house, that was fantastic. And you can tell that he is a good friend to Coop. He found it in his heart to forgive Coop, even though he knew, obviously, Coop was somehow tangentially tied to the people that ended up hitting Barney in the street and beating Coop up. Apparently, all it took was one night of clubbing and a major cocaine binge in order for him to come around, but he did. And you know what? Even Nick came around, not only to Coop, but also back to Mel. So I thought that was nice. They're all able to kind of forgive each other and move on. And you know what? Nick's gonna be fine. He knows he fell in love with a woman who's still in love with somebody else. And Mel's like, hey, what do you mean? Come on, Mel. We all know you're still in love with Coop and Nick was just a distraction. So still waiting for the reconciliation. I think that's maybe a longer term story arc that they could end up hitting. There was a point in this episode when I thought Coop was going to go to jail when he gave Hunter the watch. He's cuddling on the couch with Tori, which is a callback to basically every thought Coop's had this season about the fact that he's lost his family and his kids are growing up and didn't need him the way that they used to. And watching that father-daughter moment on the couch, I loved that. And Hunter proudly wearing that watch. So despite the fact that Coop may not have always been a great dad, he was still, even when faced with a lot of time in prison, trying his best to take care of his family, which is at the heart of this show as a whole. He signed over the deed to Mel. She has control over all of the assets. Hunter's got the nice watch. And he even says to Allie, you know, they're going to need you too. So even in his darkest hour when things were going all wrong, he still stepped up for his family. And he's going to continue to as well, although he's going to be putting himself at major risk. And given all the consequences he's already faced, including getting beat up, having money stolen from him, almost landing himself in jail for another crime, do we believe that he would actually make this choice to have turned down that job and all the security that comes along with it, only to go back taking risks all the time? I guess it goes back to my earlier point of once we peek behind the curtain and see the real show, there's no going back. And that statement definitely ran through this entire episode. Another comment Coop had made at some point was, did he even deserve redemption? And yes, he did deserve to not go to jail for a crime that he didn't commit. I don't think Sam necessarily deserved the redemption. I do think even though she didn't necessarily commit crimes, the fact that she was going to frame somebody for murder is not cool, and they're just going to let her go. In terms of the leading women of the show, I definitely loved Amanda Peet as Mel. I think she did a phenomenal job. Olivia Munn as Sam, maybe not so much. And how is that dynamic going to continue moving into season 2? Mel did see Sam when they were in the center of town. Are they going to rekindle their friendship like Barney and Coop did? We will see. Circling back to just my thoughts on the season as a whole, again, pretty average show. It has Jon Hamm, so I do think that elevates it a little bit. And yeah, things did get wrapped up a little bit quickly in this episode. And some things were maybe a little bit convenient, but at the same time, they at least all made sense. It wasn't some nonsensical situation that kind of left us like, what was that? Instead, I'm here kicking myself that I didn't figure this out myself because there were probably enough clues to do so. I pose this question to you. Did anybody out there figure this out? In the comments in the videos throughout the season, people have been saying there was the GSR on Paul's hand. And I kept questioning things about the phone records and the video surveillance and whatnot. So in my mind, I knew phone records were going to have something to do with it. And Coop figuring out his number was not on those records and that she still had a burner phone, very smart. Talk about helping yourself, right? It's funny with the burner phone too. I just watched 4 seasons on Netflix. Steve Carell, Tina Fey. Actually enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. But there was a scene in there where a couple got separated and the husband is still on the family plan. So he's got a new girlfriend and the wife is sitting at home seeing these pictures in the cloud, basically torturing herself. Was smart of Sam to get that burner phone because otherwise if Paul was all up in her business and figured out that she and Coop were sleeping together, that could have had a whole different set of consequences. Although things obviously did not work out well for Paul in the first place. And I didn't see it coming anyway. Yes, we knew that he would come back to the house from time to time. He likes the younger women. He got what he wanted, but he still wanted that girl from Southie, the Sam that he fell in love with, and obviously realized he was not going to get her back and made the choice that he made. And the big twist that there was really no murder at all is interesting. I'll take it. I will say it took me a couple watch throughs of this episode to really wrap my head around it and my feelings because just like it took the show some time to find its footing and figure out the show that it really wanted to be, it took me time to figure out how I'm supposed to feel about these characters. I think I should be hating Coop, and I almost feel guilty for not because of all the bad things he's done. I hate Mel. Am I hypocritical? Maybe. I just have a really hard time hating Jon Hamm, even if it's a fictional TV character. Sorry, not sorry. But really, Coop deciding to not get back on that hamster wheel and taking the road less traveled, which is in this case a life of crime, I'm still not convinced that I buy it. And I kind of like that because it does give us more seasons. I was skeptical with Apple's investment in the show earlier in the season because it took a while to kind of get rolling. And like I said, it got better with every single episode, and I appreciate that. So for a middling type of TV show, it was entertaining enough. And yes, I will come back for season 2. What about you guys? How would you rank this season? Will you watch season 2? Or are you like, no, I'm kind of over it now? Really want to know what everybody else thought. And just circling back to Allie for a second, be sure to watch that interview with Lena Hall. She is just fantastic. And I wasn't sure Coop even needed a sister to tell the story, but as the season went on, I guess I understood it a little bit more. And Allie as his sister did make a good device to paint Coop as a better man when obviously he has a lot of faults, has done a lot of bad things. But showing this softer family side of Coop, and again, family's been at the center of every single thing he's done, I love that. I want to see Lena Hall in more shows. I know she was in Snowpiercer before, but like more Lena Hall. And I'm going to share one more final thought, something that didn't quite make sense to me. Coop went over to Paul's house that same night that he was at the club. He texted Sam and she said, "No, I'm in Boston." But if that was the same night that Sam did come back and set up that whole murder, good thing the two of them didn't run into each other. If Coop had come there and Sam was home and is like, "Hey, what are you doing here? I just texted and said I'm in Boston." That could have gone a lot of different ways. And then they may have had to work together to cover this up together. And yes, that didn't happen. But I do wonder, was this the type of thing, 2 ships passing in the night? Sam's driving away as Coop is driving up. And obviously, he would have seen a car there anyway and known she was there. But she also took her parents' car. So if she had parked it on the street, Coop may not have realized that Sam was in the house while she was covering up this whole Paul death situation. So anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's inconsequential. But I think of how differently things could have gone if Coop did run into Sam at her house that night. So a murder isn't actually a murder, and a burner phone is what ended up solving this case. Well, that officially concludes my coverage of Your Friends and Neighbors Season 1 on Apple TV+. I would love if you drop all of your thoughts in the comments and let me know what you thought of the season as a whole, of this finale. And again, will you be watching Season 2? Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and don't miss the interview with Lena Hall, who played Coop's sister, Allie. I had a really fun time talking to her. And circling back to more TV talk, I am dropping the weekly videos for Poker Face on Peacock. We'll be covering the Buccaneers in June, potentially a full season review of We Were Liars on Prime, and then in July, Dexter Resurrection and The Summer I Turned Pretty. And also keeping that show The Institute, an adaptation by Stephen King, on my radar. That one will come to MGM Plus probably sometime this summer, and if so, I will be here to cover it. Just want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned into my videos throughout this season. It's been a lot of fun covering it. And yeah, there were some slow points, couple stumbles here and there, turbulence along the way. But in the end, we got a pretty decent bow ending and a plane that landed and did not completely crash and burn. Thank you again for tuning in. I will be back soon with more TV talk. Media Melanie, clicking off.